Good morning. Okay, so we're going to start with our summit talk, our first summit talk for today, the admission and admission processes in Nigeria educational system. And to help us do justice to this is Dr. Mrs. ADEOLA AFONJA. Please let's give a round of applause.
Good morning, everybody. How are you today? I can see we are all fine. It's the grace of God. Yes. Thank you so much. Now, they've given me this topic, admission and admission processes in Nigerian system. If we want to look at it from of course, we have admission into the primary, we have admission into the secondary, we have admission into the tertiary institution. Okay, now, how many of us here are seeking admission into the tertiary institution? Please, can I have hands up? How many of us are in the university already? Okay, now. So I'm talking to experience and those that are seeking admission. Okay, now that's going to be very good. Now, when you look at it, what is admission? What really is admission? It's like a permission to go into a place. And there are rules and regulations towards getting into a place, especially regulated place. Why do I say it is strategic nowadays? It is strategic because not all universities can admit 100%, not even 50% in the days we have presently. That is why you have people going into the distance learning, because the universities that we have presently that are doing full time cannot what? Conveniently accommodate seekers. We talk about determination. You have to be determined to get into the university. Some of us do make a life, okay, others are going, let me go. because others are going, that is why you want to go. No. You have a purpose. You have a focus. And you have to be strategic about it. Now, admission, like I said, is a permission to go into a place, a regulated place. And then the process is the act of accepting you into that place. Admission, permission. The process is the act of accepting you into that place you want to go into. And there are so many ways you can get into the university these days. Now, what are we talking about now? I said there are so many ways we can get into the university. Of course, there is a what? A common denominator. Which is what? Those of us that have what? That have gone there before. What is that common denominator? Thank you. JAMB. You have to go through JAMB. Now, for you to be able to go through JAMB, that is where we are looking at intentional strategic. Now, you go into JAMB website to check the what? The procedure. You go into the JAMB website to do what? To check the procedure. Because nowadays, like I said, many are seeking, but few are getting admitted. Strategic again, because there are some universities nowadays that are more of graduate students than undergraduate students. They are more of what? Graduate students than undergraduate students. What do I mean by that? We have a ratio of 60 to 40. That is, they accommodate 60 postgraduate students and 40 undergraduate students. Another thing you have to take into consideration nowadays, look at what COVID-19 did for all our educational institutions. What some universities are doing now is that they combine 2021 with 2021-22. Most of them are doing 70-30. So, they accommodate 2021 70% and accommodate 30% of 2021-2022. So those that are seeking to get into the university now in 2021-2022 session, they have to be what? They have to check the information about the university that they want to go into. Whether they are taking only 30% or they are taking 70% or they are taking the whole percent. You know, some didn't combine. Do you understand what I'm saying now? Some didn't combine the two sessions. That is why you have to get more information. Information is what? It's very, very important. In fact, it is germane to whatever you want to do in the university. You must have that information. Now, when you now get that information that, okay, this university is going to take 30% for 2021-2022, you now have to look around. Which one is taking more percentage? Because it means the university taking 30% will accommodate less students this particular year, 2021-2022. So where do I have the best what? Advantage? That is where you should be looking at now. I'm not saying you should not aim at going to the University of Lagos. I'm not saying you should aim at not going into University of Ibadan. But let me tell you, my darling brothers and sisters, University of Lagos is taking 30% this year. And we've known that University of Ibadan, it's more of graduate school than undergraduate school. So you have to think. Now, seeking information about the best choice of program for you. Our mommies and daddies around may not like what I'm going to say. But you have to go into the website of the universities that you have in mind and then choose the course that you think is appropriate for you, not the one that mommy or daddy thinks is appropriate for you. Because you are the one that will do the study, not mommy and daddy. You know your ability, you know your interest. Interest is very, very what? Important. In fact, it is germane. Because after graduation, and you lose the interest in that course, what next are you going to do? Even in the course you have interest, you have to continue learning. So for you now to rebrand yourself, it may take you a 2-step back. So you must look for the choice of your own interest in the university. And there's another intrigue there too. You must look for university that, there are some universities that are known for a particular course. I say medicine, University of Lagos, University of Ibadan, University of Nsukka, University of Ife, that kind. But in another case, if you say mass communication, you will think that University of Ibadan is not good for mass communication, but that of University of Lagos. Strategic now, you have to look at it. Do I have a better chance of going into University of Lagos or University of Ife? Another thing you have to take into consideration is that there are some universities that take only one sitting. Only what? Only one sitting. University of Lagos, you don't come with 2 sittings. University of Ibadan, because of the competitiveness, the 30% undergraduate, they will not even look at you. So you need to what? You need to get information on all these particular things before you do what? Before you go ahead to determine the choice of your what? Of your university. When you have all this information, you get your JAMB form, and then you are what? You are ready to do what? You are ready to sit for that exam. That is determination coming in now. And you must have at the back of your mind too that there are some scores that you have to, the level. You don't score 199 and you think you want to get to University of Lagos or you want to get to University of Ibadan. Because they all have their own cutoff mark. Even JAMB will tell them, cutoff mark is 200. They will tell you our own is 250. It is because of their competitiveness. I'm not saying you should not stay in Lagos. But what I always tell my students or anybody that come across me and ask such a question is that you are a child of God. There is nowhere that you are that God is not there. If it is for protection, who gives protection? It is God Almighty. I work in the University of Lagos, but it's only one of my children that comes to the University of Lagos. And she was just like, okay, I schooled in Yoyo, I schooled in this. I want my university outside of your state. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, when you look at it that you must have only one sitting, and you look at your results, the grade you made is also very important. It comes into play when you do your post. You and the post JAMB. Because after post JAMB, they will now look at, like University of Lagos, we look at your what? Your grade in your subjects. If you have A, there is a mark for it. If you have B, there is a mark for it. If you have C, there is a mark for it. And so on and so forth. And they calculate and add it to your post-jam. That is when they get your what? Your cutoff mark. So it is very, very important for you to be strategic about what? About the university. Ask, get information and all that. That is the specific, you must know the specific what? The specific requirement of what? Of the university of your choice. It is very, very important because not all of them take the same thing. You have private universities now. Their own requirement is different from all this our old conventional university. And then, if you don't want to go through JAMB, there is JUPEP for you. There is foundation. There is pre-degree. And when you pass your pre-degree, you can go into what? The 200 level. It is there they will regulate it with JAMB. The university, they know how to do it to regulate it with JAMB, but you don't have to sit for JAMB. But if you must sit for JAMB, you have to be what? You have to be very determined about it. Because the subjects combination too is very, very important. Look at it. JAMB may give you some subjects that these are the combination for what? For this course. My darling brothers and sisters, go into the university website and look at the combination for that school, for that university. Because if you don't get their own subject combination, that is the beginning of what? Of failure. They will not even look at you. So it is very important for you to get the what? The right information at the right time of the university that you have decided, you have determined to go to. Don't stop there. Look at the past cutoff mark of that discipline you want to go into, and then aim high to get more than that cutoff mark, because there is competition every year. And it is how they pass. They will draw a graph. When they draw a graph, it is then that they look at it and take the what? The cutoff mark. So there are so many intrigues when you come to it. Like I know, in the University of Lagos, if you have your cutoff mark, if you know this is the cutoff mark for this particular course I am going, and you cannot find your name, you can come meet me. We will meet the VC, the registrar. That is how easy University of Lagos is admission now. But if you don't have the cutoff mark, the first thing you look at is that it's my combination okay with another course with my cutoff. Or is there vacancy? Because that is where the mistake comes in now. You will go and take the change of form form, and there is no vacancy in that particular what? Faculty you want to go into. And then you will then say, but I have their cutoff point, but my name is not out. Did they declare vacancy? No. So if there is no vacancy, please don't fill that form. They will just take your money for fun. Don't fill that form. So you have to look at all these things before you say, okay, I don't have cutoff point for the course I want, but I have cutoff point for this course. Let me go and change. Have that faculty or department declared a vacancy? You need to know. It is very, very important. You need to know. So, you have made your choice. You've collected the JAMB form. You have done JAMB. You have to look for your what? Wait for your post UMB now. I think University of Lagos is circulating the post-UME dates now. So you have to look for it. And you have to read. The first thing, once it comes out like that, like I've explained, your grade in your subjects, they will look at the subject combination. If you don't have credits in maths, English, even if you want to read Yoruba education, and there is no credit in maths and English, don't bother to take University of Lagos. Don't bother to take University of Ibadan. You look at it because they will not take you. Don't say because maybe it's Yoruba. What is the relationship of Yoruba and mathematics? They will not even look at you because they have so many people who are competing for that position and they have excellent results. So that is why I said you need information, and you need information. Okay, now you have done that. You are ready for the post-JAMB. You've done the post-JAMB. What else do you need? The what? You now wait for the cutoff. And I've explained the way of the cutoff to you. That is, they will look at your JAMB, they will look at your post-JAMB, and they will look at your subjects, your grade in your certificates, school certificates, before they grade you. So, by that now, they will give you a provisional admission. The provisional admission, you have to do what? You have to accept. Majority of us, after getting the provisional admission letter, what do? We sit back in our houses, not knowing that there is a time fixed for what? For acceptance. So you need to accept your provisional admission. And again, there is no applicants that university will take now if you are not 16 and above at the point of registration. So if you think, oh, I'm going to be 2 years old in 2 days' time, no way. They will not register you. There won't be any registration. So please, even if you've gone through secondary school and you came out with flying colors at the age of 14, my darling brothers and sisters, don't attempt to go into, I'm not sure of the private university. But if you really want to go into the conventional university, you must be 16 at the point of what? Registration. So take that into consideration. And then don't forget acceptance of your what? Of your provisional admission. You register, and at the point of registration, a course advisor is allocated to your level. A course advisor is allocated to your level. What is the work of a course advisor during the registration? The work of a course advisor is to what? Is to advise and guide you on the courses you are going to register. On the courses you are going to register, so that you don't go astray. And your course advisor that is allocated to you at that point in time will guide you from that 100 level through to your what? Maybe 400, or at case maybe 500 level, until you graduate. I don't think any university will pass on course advice students to different course advisors at different levels, because they want the course advisor to be able to monitor your what? Your progress. And then when you have a course advisor is like a mother, it's like a father to you in the university. If there's going to be any problem, run to your course advisor before it starts. If you know that something is not clear to you, run to your course advisor before it is too late. Because most of the time, students run into problems because they have not been carrying their course advisor along. You know, it is not their only job. They have to teach as well. They have to mark. They have to set exam, do so many things. But if you are the one that is going to class, if you feel that a lecturer is like wanting to be what can I use now? Wanting to be picking at you all the time, run to your words, to your course advisor, and explain. Say, sir, ma, I don't know what is going on. And then that course advisor will be able to ask some questions and tell you whether you are the cause of that subject of picking up. Because some of us, because that is our freedom, first freedom out of home. Nobody is going to wake you up in your hostel to come to class. But coming to class is what? Voluntarily compulsory. Coming to class is what? Voluntarily compulsory. Because there are set rules before you can sit for exam. Your attendance in class is like 70% in my own university, some 60. If you don't attend class up to 70%, that lecturer has the effrontery to come to exam hall and walk you out. It will just tell you out of this exam because you have not what? Fulfilled one of the requirements of sitting for what? For exam. So all these things you have to note. And some of us, you come to class, you drag your feet. Some of us, you come to class, you come in very late so that people may notice you. Of course, if you want people to notice you, your lecturer too will notice you. And again, what I want you as Christian students is that you dress well to class. Some of us, we go to class not dressing up properly. You will get noticed. There is no way. And people like me will send you out of my class. I will tell you to go and dress up properly and come back. So, you need to look at all these things when you are determined and when you are intentional about your admission. Am I going there to study? We all know that work and no play make Jack a dull boy. Okay? But do more of studying and less of what? Partying. And when you have done that, you make your what? Your course advisor, your father or your mother, my darling brothers and sisters, you are good to go and succeed. You are good to go and success is surely yours. Another thing about it is at the level of registration that you pick your friends. Pick your friends. Don't let your friends pick you. It is very, very important. You don't let your friends pick you. You pick your friends. Because the way they see you with your friends will determine the way they talk to you. If your friends are the ones that are all over the university, they will think you too, you are all over the university. But be a student that is all over the university when it comes to getting to lectures at the right time, getting to doing the right thing, and making sure that at the right time you excel. That is the most important thing. So, the next thing after registration is what? Is matriculation. That is when you are fully a student of the university of your choice. Matriculation. Once you are matriculated, The only thing that can get you out of that university is whether you commit a crime, because the university is what? It's also a place where you build character. So, it is important for you not to commit crime. It is important for you not to cheat in exam, because if you cheat in exam, you are looking for rustication. Your mates will graduate and you will come back 2 years after them. And if you are not rude to lecturers, because that too is another crime in the university. So, my brothers and sisters, the Lord say, go and shine. So once you have followed this and you have followed due process in the admission process, nothing is going to stop you. All you need, like I said, is be strategic about it, be intentional about it, and be determined about it. God bless you all. So I'm waiting for questions so that I can at least, if anything is not clear to you, you can let us know now. Thank you.
Okay, if you are having questions, can you please signify? Probably concerning, it may not be concerning admission process, but it may be concerning education. So do you have any question? Probably if you are having challenges in your school, at Polytechnic, in the university, you can signify. Okay?
Okay, praise God. Hallelujah. Thank you, ma. First of all, I want to ask, in a case whereby you have, maybe your school is into some kind of things that you don't like, and the stuff is coming from the head, like from the administrative head of the school. In that kind of case, how do you rectify the issue? To whom do you report that issue to?
What you don't like is coming from the head of the school or from your own department, from the VC or the rector. That is a difficult one, because who do you report the VC to or the rector to now? Who do you report to? Really, in such a situation, the only thing you can do is, in my own university, you can seek audience with the VC. You go and take an appointment that you want to see him. It's a listening VC. You seek appointment and you voice. There is no harm in voicing out your opinion. I don't believe in shutting down students, but do it respectfully and in the right way. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do it respectfully and in the right way. The right way is seek appointments with the head that you think is doing the wrong thing, and then don't forget, you have to pray. Prayer is what? Prayer is key, because you need the guidance of the Almighty, since you are going to talk to the person that you think is doing the wrong thing. So when you seek the Lord will even speak before you get there. And then you as a student, Daddy, you are my father here, but I think I don't like this pattern. With all due respect, there is no harm. It's either he said, okay, my baby, thank you. He said, who are you? But with the guidance of the Almighty, you will have said your own point. It is for him to sit back. I'm sure he will sit back one day and think about what that boy who walks into his office.
I don't know if this is a question or a suggestion, but I just want to say, I feel like the courses that are offered in the higher institution is much. Like, how can someone be having maybe in a 300 level or so, or even from 100 level, someone will be offering 10 to 11 courses? It's much. And again, like in my department now, in a year we are offering 11 courses, and then you will see 3 lecturers offering taking one course. Like just a single course, 3 different lecturers. I feel like the stress is too much for the students, Monday to Friday, leaving the class by 5 from 8 o'clock.
Thank you so much. You know there is a guideline, like I said, requirements for you to be able to graduate as a degree holder. What that means is that you must pass a particular unit before you can say you are a graduate of this discipline. It may be 120 something units. It may be 120, maybe for, I think 145 units for JAM students, and direct students 120 something units. So when you look at it, there are some core courses that you have to take. There are some core courses that you have to take. So you must take them. And because you have to take some other preliminary courses to make up the 100 and something units. So there is no way, and it is only a what? First semester, second semester, 4-year course. When you look at it, there is no way you can meet up the units without having up to 11 courses or 10 courses, by the way. And then you may need to learn so many things that are combined in one course title. Some of them that are doing economics, they will have microeconomics, they will have microeconomics and all that. A lecturer that is a specialist in microeconomics may not be able to take the one in microeconomics. So you must have 2 lecturers there. So if you are in the back book of the one teaching the first one, you won't be in the back book of the one teaching the second one. You are not in his back book. You take one from that. After all, let him give you make sure that you pass well in the 2. So that is just the essence of 3 lecturers taking one course. Then I have a question here that says or the university or the course after writing JAM. Of course you can change, but it has time limits. You have to be very fast about it. Before they start putting their words, their cutoff mark, before doing if now the universities are asking that you put yourself together for the what? For the post-JAM, and you now want to go and change. It's not going to work. So you have to be what? Specific. You have to be what? Intentional about it. Yes.
Mike, you said something about like the question he asked when the problem is coming from the manager. Now my own question is when the problem is probably from the department and maybe do you solve a problem where every set that comes keeps having the same problem with the same person, and if any set that tries to make a complaint, there is always a threat, and now the whole thing is affecting the other sets, even the people that are there now. So how you said something about we praying about it, going to talk to the person. Now a situation whereby someone goes to talk to the person and she now threatens the whole class, and they are all having problems. Like, she makes sure they are going to have extra year, one thing is going to happen, and or how do we solve that kind of a problem?
So that is why there are mechanism in the university. In the University of Lagos, you have students comment box or something like that. Write it in a good manner. Wait, yes, you are, no. From the department is it even easier. You have elders in that department. The HOD is not the oldest. The HOD can be the senior professor there. So, no, two people can say the same thing at the same way. That is it. Talk to the most senior people in your department. If it is affecting, everybody must have seen it now. If it is affecting, it's a recurrent issue. It is a very serious one. See, other lecturers, because you have, and when 2 or 3 lecturers are there, say the same
This is a situation where when lecturers like when they ask, okay, who are you people complaining, and you mention nobody ever wants to get involved. Nobody wants to get involved. So the students are just on their own.
if they ask what?
Like when you tell them the person that, like, where we're having issue, the person we're having issue, and no lecturer wants to be involved.
Is that person a tiger or what? See, that is why you write petition. We do in our own university. Students have that something. They will just write to the VC. The VC will summon the what? The dean of the faculty. Or you go through the dean. If 3 levels are having the same issue and you go, don't go alone then. It is now the issue of students. Go with different, the course, what? Then your course advisors, let them seek the audience of the dean. And then the dean will now query that HOD. Because the dean has the power to query the HOD. If he's doing the same thing for all the levels, that is a very terrible one. They will see, the dean will seek, and if it doesn't stop there, you can write the VC. It's the VC now that will summon the dean, and the dean will summon the HOD. So it's a very, if something is not good, it is not good. That is it. Then, if you are familiar, you have to be familiar to a very good extent to your course advisor. And don't forget, there are some issues that emanate from students. Students are very terrible lots. I'm sure you cannot deny that fact. Students are very terrible. So, there is always this situation. You have to be firm on what you cannot take. Because if you flutter on it, or you say, okay, this is my personal friend, you do it to one student, you are gone as a lecturer. So, if a situation is like this, and your no to that situation is no, your answer to that situation is no, make sure to all students it should be no. Thank you.
Very much, man. Please let's give a round of applause. I believe we learned a lot. I learned a lot. Okay, for those who are seeking admission, I learned that you have to make sure you have all your information right. Going from the course you want to study, the university you want to study that course, you have to check the course from that university to be sure that what you want, the requirements for the course, for that school meets what you want to go, even before you write your JAM. So we'll be going into the next session. I hope we are ready. We all have our notepads. right? So please, always make sure you take note of all the details you would need. You may not need it now, you may need it for someone somewhere. So please always take notes. If you have litters, sweet wrappers or anything, please don't litter here. Just keep it somewhere. There's a dustbin. You can quietly step up and drop it outside. Don't leave any wraps on the floor. Thank you. So we're going into the next session, doing business, making money, and social media in post-pandemic era. And to do justice to this, we have an IT consultant, Mr. Wayne. Pardon my.
Good morning, everyone. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Let's appreciate Dr. Mrs. AFONJA again, please, for that wonderful session. Don't worry, I'm amongst you. Don't worry, I'm one of. We're together. We're together in this session. Praise the Lord. How many of us have been here from day one? Who was here from day one? Okay, great. That's good. You were around for day two. Okay, that's interesting. So I know it was a loaded session from day one where the bishop theologian started, and day two about relationships. So we're continuing today. Praise the Lord. So I'll be talking about, it's really focused on technology. And I know in the last, this summit, we are here physically. I know last summit we had to stream it. It was online all through, but this time we're having both physical and online. So we're making progress. How many of us here is interested in technology? Either you're interested in technology, you are involved, or you interact with technology. Just do it. Show of hands. How many? I can see some. Good. That's good. So we'll be jumping in. I'll take it in two parts. I'll just give a broad background first before we go into the core. So we're talking about doing business, making money, and social media post-pandemic. I'll touch a bit on all those, but focus is a lot more on technology. I'll start with a bit of history. So from over time, historically, this technology we have now has really not always been available. All the mobile phones you're seeing, all the computers, all the cameras, all the digital gadgets, they were not around. It had evolved through time. And if you would have heard of the industrial revolutions, so we have had 4 of them. So starting from the mid-1784, where we had the first industrial revolution, where the invention of the steam engine. So the steam engine was made it possible for us to start having trains, have moving vehicles to move things around. In addition to that, there was some level of automation in that period. But in the second industrial revolution, if we go further, you had the invention of electricity and manufacturing and automation of the manufacturing process. So you could see a lot of these things you are seeing now is now made possible. Then we get into the third industrial revolution, where you have the computers come into play. You have some level of digital technology. So that was in the 1980s, earlier on. But now we are in the fourth industrial revolution. It's a combination of technology, physical. You just see a lot of things coming together. Another reference to these industrial revolutions, you probably hear Industry 1.0, Industry 2.0, Industry 3.0, Industry 4.0 is just a reference name, but we're in Industry 4.0, the fourth industrial revolution, and where we have the lines between the digital and physical are blurring a bit, and that's the general direction it's going over time. Now, if we go further, in terms of ICT, when you hear technology, a number of the components you see around that you interact with. You would see your hardware, that's your mobile devices, software. You hear a lot of software development and the rest. So software, hardware, internet. The internet was not always here. Even telephone communication we used to have before wasn't always here. It was invented. So it came during this period. So all this, the functioning together of all this come together to make technology possible. So whenever you pick up your phone to make a call, you are technically interacting with 4 or 5 components. You have the physical phone, you have the software that is on the phone, you have the network the phone is connecting to, and you have the technology at the other side. So it's all this coming together to make technology possible. Then going further, just to give a sense of the pace at which we've been going. You know how you'll be hearing of emerging technologies. Has anyone of us heard of emerging technologies? Okay, I can see some hands. That's interesting. I see some hands at the back. So emerging technology, so you hear things like artificial intelligence, virtual reality, blockchain. Who has heard of Bitcoin here? Bitcoin. Okay, good. Bitcoin. So it's based on some form of blockchain that makes it possible, and cryptography. So you hear all this robotics, Internet of Things, all these make up emerging technology. So it just shows the fast pace at which technology has been moving over time. From the first industrial revolution through to the second industrial revolution to the third and the fourth, which we are in. And we are now going further down into the emerging technologies. Now, has this benefited us generally from a more positive side? You will see there have been improved ease of access to information. It saves time, so you are able to travel, move from one location to the other faster. You are able to send information a lot faster. So in our daily lives, in business, in school, wherever, we use one form of technology or that we've interacted with it. So up until, would I say 2019 or early 2020, things have been moving fast. Then we had the pandemic come into play. That was in 2020. I'm sure we're quite familiar with that. I know I had a conversation with someone, was it sometime late 2019, where we're just talking about, it was conversation around how businesses could recover from some disaster incidents, and it was like, oh, is it going to be possible to have everyone in lockdown? Then I said, the guy was like, oh, it's not possible, it never happened. Not knowing that in some few months' time, the world was practically shut down without everyone expecting it. So it had an impact. And if you notice in the topic, we're talking about a post-pandemic period. Good thing is that we didn't spend too much time in lockdown here in Nigeria, and we're practically open, but everyone is recovering from it. Now, what was the impact from the pandemic? There was obviously the major impact, loss of life. There was challenge to the public health system, food system, transportation. The airlines were all shut down. All businesses suffered a lot. Economic disruptions, even here where we had the protest, as at last year, it was about a year ago, the NSAS protest and the rest, everything emanated from that. But the irony of it is that in the midst of the losses, which is ironic, there were businesses that made a lot of money. Some of them made a lot of money. If you look at some of the technology companies, Zoom is one of them. Because everyone was locked down in their homes, everybody had to resort to using video conferencing, video calls, telephone conference calls, and the rest. So you have a number of these technology companies that made a lot of money. Even when people were saying, we can't do business. Zoom was one. Amazon, if you're familiar with Amazon, Amazon is online e-business, e-commerce, so they sell. So people were ordering things, had to order things online. You also have your Netflix, where you watch, people watch movies and the rest, Microsoft, Google. So they all made money, sometimes 3 times, 30 times more increase in valuation. So when we're talking about this, really essentially we're just going through the journey of how technology has transformed over time, what the impact of the pandemic, although the COVID pandemic is not the only pandemic that has happened, there have been a number over time in history. You can go as far back as the Black Death, the plague, even the Spanish flu in the early 20th century, around 1980. So there have been incidents, but because of the way we are now interconnected. The impact of the COVID was felt quite faster and more widespread across the world. If you look at some of the industries that had the impact of COVID, you know, hospitalities, your restaurants, your hotels, sports and recreation practically had to shut down. Airlines, as I said earlier on, even oil and gas, because people were not traveling any longer. There was a time during 2020 where the price of oil was practically negative. They would have to pay people to get the crude oil off them. If not, they will suffer more losses. So it was that bad. But we're coming out of it, thank God for His grace. So from a technology perspective, going further, we'll just look a bit about the background, some of the history and some of the details. Going further, looking at how we can use technology, how technology is growing for every one of us here, how we can, those interested in going into technology, how we can get into it, what are the areas available. If we look at Africa, for example, the startup ecosystem in Africa. So by startup, we mean companies that are young companies that are coming into technology, doing businesses, solving problems. Nigeria has at 2020, we had the highest activity in Africa. So it means things are happening in Nigeria. So there are opportunities you can step into, every one of us. If we look at the top, I'll just touch on some of the top startup sectors in Nigeria. And you had payments, which I'm sure you've interacted with. Is either someone has sent you money, or you've sent someone money, or you have to pay for something. And most of the time, you're either using one of the platforms here. It could have been a Paystack, it could have been InterSwitch, it could have been Paygate. There are so many of them, but it's very active. There are businesses that are started by people, young people like you and I, that came up from school and said, oh, they want to start something. And they are getting valuations that are going into the billions of dollars. You have payment space. We have investments. You know, you hear a lot of all these investments coming up, although we need to be careful about where we invest in so we don't get defrauded. E-commerce, your Jumia, your Konga, and the rest. Cryptocurrency. I talked about Bitcoin earlier on. So it's all technology. Bitcoin is based on blockchain, but it's money that is public money. It's not really controlled by a central authority per se. But that's one of the advantages of Bitcoin. And even within education, we have technology startups. Sometimes in school, you get to use some of this solution. So things are happening within the Nigeria space also. So how is this relevant to us? Now, if you ask yourself, how do you make money? How do you want to generate wealth for yourself? There are broadly, one basic way we'll say it is that you need to solve a problem. That's the way you make money. You are solving a problem. You are either giving someone something of value that the person appreciates and the person is giving you money for that, or you are solving something for the person and the person says, yes, this is a problem for me. So how you make money is by solving a problem and getting rewarded for it. It can be via a job you're doing. It can be via business. You are selling product or service, or you are doing some consultancy. So these are three broad ways. So as you are going ahead, you kind of try to picture these ways. Okay, these are the ways that we can make money. And there's one other thing I call the 4 M's of money. Where the ways you can make money, the way you manage it, the way you can multiply, and then also ministry. So we talked about ways you can make it. Either you're doing the work, or it's entrepreneurship, or trading. And all these are enabled by technology. So a lot of the things that are happening today, you can use technology for it. Managing it, all obviously, you need to plan ahead and schedule the rest. So for those, what I want to focus on going forward for the rest part is for those of us looking to go into technology, because it's really where the space, a lot of things are going. We don't know how far ahead it will go and probably what will replace it, but we're pushing the boundaries that within the technology space, if you're doing business or you look to do business or you look to get some work or build a career within that space, you'll be at the forefront of innovation. So you see new ideas coming up on how to, in healthcare, in education, in transportation, they are pushing the boundaries in all those areas. There are a lot more opportunities there. Although technology is across industries, we'll talk a bit more about that. And it's a way you can you can multiply your impact. It's a way you can multiply your impact. For example, how will I say? So instead of you being physically going to impact one person, you can go online and leverage the internet to impact a lot more people. You can make a difference, make money in so many ways. And there's that flexibility. There's that flexibility. So in terms of technology, I'll touch a bit on some of the career paths for those of us interested in technology that really want to look at technology. I'll touch a bit on each one of them. There are about 8 kind of outlined here. So you hear a lot of software development where there's a lot of hype around coding, development. There are a lot of initiatives to get even girls, women into technology and say, okay, learn how to code and the rest. So that space is wide. There's a need for it. So you have people that are working in Nigeria here that are serving clients that are outside the country, in Europe, in Asia, in America, but they're sitting here together with us. It's made possible by technology. And because there's a need for it, there is a need. So one company called ADEOLA, they recently got a valuation of $1 billion. What they do is that they provide developers to companies that are outside Nigeria to service them, outside within Nigeria, but they are that big because there's a massive need for it. There's a massive, massive need for it. So you hear a lot about software development. So what do we mean by that? Coding, writing software to have things that run on your computers or your phones or on the internet, or wherever, even on medical devices, in your cameras, in your machines, everything that runs on software. They also have information security and network. So that space essentially deals with, because we are now interconnected, it now increases the risk of malicious people trying to steal and hack and do all sorts of things. So that space is big in terms of how do we protect your phones. You know, there are times you use your phones and they'll say, oh, has it been infected by a virus? Is someone that made that virus to go either steal information or cause problem on the device? So that's a big space where people go into to go and protect devices and protect information, protect people's identity, because there are a lot of all these players, all these people online that really we don't know who they are, but they have all sorts of bad intents that they go online. Then there's hardware and infrastructure. These are your physical devices, your physical phones, your physical computers, your physical machines. Hardware spans a lot. Your cameras, everything that is physical that is built, it really falls within that space. And there are people that go into data and analytics where you do a lot of well, I would say crunching of data, calculation, computation to kind of see how you can improve. So a lot of businesses, a lot of organizations are going into that space to say, how can we improve our efficiency? How can we do better? So let's look at our past performance. How did we do last year? Or how our customers are doing in terms of what are they buying? What are they interested in? So there's a lot of analytics around that to help companies improve their performance, to help people become better in their lives generally. Then obviously communications, which you use. We all have our phones here. So communications, talking to people, the network and the rest is one of it. I know there was it last week? I think it was last week that MTN had an issue. Who saw that MTN network? Okay. It was a bit surprising for me, but I realized it was everywhere. So that's one bad thing about technology, because there can be failures, and if we're now over-dependent on it, it now impacts our life. Because I remember the period where we didn't have GSM. People who lived normal lives were all living wonderfully well. So, but now, by the time you take out GSM, people, lives will be disrupted, and communication, people can't really reach out to others. So, going forward from communications, we have cloud. You hear a lot of cloud technology. Who knows what cloud? When I say cloud, who knows what it means? Okay. Is it just one person too? Okay. Who knows what cloud means? Okay. I'll have given the mic, but let's go ahead. But it's good. So cloud is essentially you're putting your information in, well, I'll say data centers that are not owned by you, sitting somewhere in some random country where your information via internet connection. You know that your internet, how does it work? Does anybody know how it works around the world? How do you get to connect from here to Europe or to Asia? I want someone to give a shot. Who can? How do you communicate? So it passes a means. How does it get there? What? No, there's no wrong answer. Don't worry. I'll repeat what I said. So, you know, you're able to communicate from here to, say, Asia or America. How does your information get there? It's transmitted?
Yes, to satellite.
Okay. To where? And the other side?
Exactly.
Well, you're correct in a sense, but not to burst your bubble, most of it goes under the sea. So there are cables that go under the sea. Most of the internet communication goes under. You have an answer for us? Okay, give him mine.
I think some of them go through optic fibers.
Yes,
and
yeah.
cloud.
No, not in the cloud. It actually goes under the sea. So there are submarine cables, they are optic fibers, they are actually buried under the, so you hear of submarine cables going from Lagos to you. So most of the information, even though some go through satellites, most of it goes under the sea. So when you hear cloud, it might be deceptive. A lot of the information is passing under the ground. But that's a nice try. Well done for that. So when you hear cloud, a lot of the communication passes under the sea, but it goes to data centers and computers that are sitting in different locations in the world. If, I think, I'm trying to remember the year, when the telephone was invented and there was a first phone call, they call it transatlantic phone call from, I think that was either New York to London or so. It was because they had laid a cable under the sea from New York to London. So when you pick up your phone, that communication was going to pass through that wire ultimately. So that's the way it works. Still talking about parts within technology. We have still IT management, IT business strategy, and rest. So all these are really areas where anyone can go in, depending on your skill set. There was one thing Dr. AFONJA said around interest when picking your course and the rest. It's very important. So wherever your interest and you feel your skill set fits into, it's really an area you can go into. Then also there is, nowadays you see a lot of, thank you. So nowadays you see a lot of interest in a lot of initiatives around getting girls and women into technology. So there's a lot of drive. So for our ladies, they're kind of interested in it. There is a lot of opportunities. If your interest is there, your skill set fits it perfectly well. There are initiatives that go get women into technology to drive, because bring a whole new set of perspective into how we use technology in business and career. So question is, what should I do now? That's the big question. We've talked about the history of technology. We've talked about how it has transitioned from the first industrial revolution to date. We talked about the impact of the pandemic and how everything was shut down, and some businesses flourished while some did not. But coming out of it, but there's those businesses that flourish that seem to still be pushing ahead with flourishing. So some of the things we need to do is, number one is you would want to discover yourself and outline what your goals are. If you have an interest within this space, if it's an area you want to go in, say, okay, where does it look like I'm interested in most? Where do you think makes the most sense for you that you can go in and say, okay, maybe in the next 4 years, the next 5 years, or when I get out of school, or when I go into school, I want to read either computer science or computer engineering or something IT related. But the good thing about it now, even for those that are in school and have left, is that because the way the technology is, it really doesn't matter what you actually read, as long as you can really easily transition it. There's a lot of, I tell people there's a lot of materials out there that if you look for it, you find it to improve yourself. We'll get to that point a bit. But under this discovery point is really focusing on what you think will be a good career or business area for you. What are your core values? How do you align what you do? There are some things you do quite easily that come easy to you. All these areas I'm talking about, they are topics on their own. They are things we can actually spend hours talking about. Well, that's a go on. So then also, obviously, number two is create a plan. So plan is, okay, yeah, I'll face my studies and do all the things I need to do. I know there was a question around the number of courses being done and the workload. What I would tend to encourage people is just try and learn as much as possible. You may not realize the value of that until when you've left, that information is quite valuable. Okay, that information you've gotten is quite valuable. Number 3 is prioritization. Equal amount of, if you are rich, you are poor, everybody has 24 hours in a day. So the question is, how do you want to use it? How do you want to make the most of your time? There are things around, how do you classify what is important, what is urgent, what is not important, what is not urgent? Do you need to focus on that? That's a topic on its own, but if you're focused on a certain area, you want to be able to prioritize your time that you want to ensure you're doing most important things. I know there was this analysis I was giving, so they say we should sleep typically 8 hours in a day. I'm just giving an analysis, just I'm questioning that. So 8 hours is about 1/3 of a day. So if that's 1/3 of a day, in 30 years, you've practically slept for 10 years. So if you are doing something, maybe you're on social media for 1 hour in a day, or 2 hours in a day, or 3 hours in a day, by the time you calculate that over a year, you will be knowing that you've spent years wasting time. So you need to be able to prioritize activities you're doing. Number 4, which is really learning, invest in your skills, invest in learning. You can't really, learning is one thing that you have, and it's very useful for it. You know, when we talked about making money, is that you are going to be exchanging something for value in return for money. So you are helping someone solve a problem, and how do you know how to solve a problem is skills. Like there was a joke around the mechanic coming that, if for example I have a problem with my car, and I spent hours trying to fix it, I call the mechanic, and the mechanic comes and just touches one bolt, and the car starts running and say, give me 10,000 naira. And I ask you, why am I giving you 10,000 naira? Because his answer is because I know where to solve the problem. You didn't know that, and you're paying me for that. So even though it's a small solution, it is something that's important. So investing in your skills is quite important. Then one we'll talk a bit, number 5, is be more productive. I'll touch a bit around some of the things you can do. So why are we talking about productivity? Why should you be more productive? Time plus input plus resources equals output. So whatever you do with your time plus the skills you put into it, the effort you put into it gives you an output. It can be multiplied by technology, whatever you do, but it helps you save time. It helps you manage your process. So some things, how do you get productive? Obviously, you need to start maintaining. If you don't do, some people are very good at it. Some people struggle. Have a to-do list. Have a very effective to-do list to say, okay, these are the activities that are important to me. If it's for the day or for the week or for the month, just have something that, okay, at least by the end of this period, I would have either finished reading this book or finished preparing for this exam or finished preparing this project work. But there is a target that you can do. Not everybody are adept at it, so it's something I also try to do from time to time. I can do it for over a longer period. Say, okay, for this month, I need to be able to check off this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items. Then, of course, manage procrastination. Do the, as they say, eat that frog. You might probably do the most difficult things first, so you get them out of the way. Plan and prepare always. Just touch on some of them. Plan and prepare. We talked about it a bit, and if I go further, there are just a couple of things you can do. Seek help whenever you need help and guidance. So because you are trying to go into an area that probably might be new to you or a space, so you can rely on people that have either gone through that experience before or learn from them. So overall, in terms of leveraging technology, it's a journey. I would say it's a journey. It's going to be a combination of focus, a combination of determination, and a combination of the effective use of time. And it's something we need to balance a lot. So in school, you just need to look at, okay, try to analyze how much time you might be. It's fine doing interesting things, it's fine doing fun things, but you need to try and find a balance so that you're not spending too much time on it. I will touch on social media a bit. I know social media is in the topic, so we need to talk about it. So social media is enabled by what we've talked about, technology so far. We've talked about communications, we've talked about internet. So putting together all this is what has enabled social media. So you can reach a lot of people at once. We're live streaming now. There are people that are sitting in so many locations that are seeing what we're having here, and it's enabled by technology. It has its pros, Its pros are quite good, so you can connect with friends and families quite easily. That's quite good. Quick access to information. There is a lot of, so for every one of us, if you have access to data, you can balance, maybe go online, YouTube and rest. There are a lot of learning you can get from there on any topic you're looking for, or any material. You would actually see someone talking about it, and it's very, very useful. It helps build your knowledge, and it's something that no one can take from you. Then you can also be involved in civic engagement, all the things that happen on Twitter where people are trying to push for a cause. Obviously, you need to balance this with intelligence. What are the downsides of it? The downsides of it, I know there's a friend of mine, that he calls social media a weapon of mass distraction. So you need to be able to balance it so that even though you're online, you are doing something meaningful, the larger percentage of it. So there are some downsides to it. Being online is different from being in reality. So those that you might think might be your friend online might not be a friend, might be a stranger. So also be careful how you interact. And don't overuse it. Try to, if you are online, their market, for those into business, obviously they found a way to market and sell their products online, and it's a very powerful and wonderful tool to use. So it's something to think about. So overall, broadly, I know we've talked about technology, we've talked about some of the benefits, we've talked about some of the career paths. There's an advantage that we all have here, and who can tell me that advantage? There's an advantage that we all have here. Anybody? Okay, thank you. What's the advantage?
We are still young.
Okay, that's one, but that's not where I'm getting to. There's an advantage. Who else can give a try? No, there's no wrong answer. No, give it a try. It's better trying. Give it a try. So he has a point here, young. Okay.
Smartphone.
Okay, smartphone. Yes. The advantage I'm talking about is slightly different. It's something that people outside don't have, that you have. What is the advantage? She wants to give a try.
That you are learning. You're not paying for this. We're getting it free.
Okay, you're getting there, but don't worry, it's fine. It's fine. One more try, just one more try if I jump into it. Okay. So I said an advantage that we sitting here have that people outside.
Okay, exposure and information.
Okay, it's fine. Nice try, and they're good answers. We're young, we have access to information and the rest. But what I was getting to is, if you look at the theme of this conference, you will see Ignite, the title of the conference, Ignite in Christ. You hear the refiner's place. There was, when the questions were happening in the previous sessions, you hear some advice around praying. So it's important we have access to God. And there is nothing that beats that. I think we tend to underplay that. I know when Dr. Mrs. AFONJA was giving an advice that, you need to take wisdom, get directions from God. It's very important. If you go through the Bible, you notice that people rely on God. So you're not doing trial and error. You say, okay, where should I go through? What business should I run? Or which course should I read? You can just pray about it. You get an answer, because there's the advantage you have, which is the Holy Spirit, that people outside do not have. So when we talk about the refiner's place, we are going through a process to get better. We are going through a process to be more skilled and more able to manifest, because they are waiting for our manifestation to manifest as children of God. So thank you very much. I tried to run through a lot of points. I don't know if you want to take questions now. Okay, I'll hand it over to you too.
Okay, please.
So I'm done with it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Please, a round of applause for him. If we have questions concerning IT, social media, any of such. How many of us want to go into IT? Okay.
Praise the Lord. Okay, in a situation where you don't really understand something, if you watch videos, you prefer the physical class, and your main focus is about robotics and this thing. And we know Nigeria is not a good place for learning that kind of thing. So how do we?
Okay. There's interest in robotics, for example. You have interest in. So I know there are a lot of a number of these centers coming up where you might not have it as well as you want in the classroom that's within school, within your university or within your secondary school, but there are institutions outside the school settings that are building interest and working around training people in robotics, and they are looking for people that are interested. Really, they are creating awareness. So if you can, maybe just go online, find, based on your interest, and you probably see somewhere around within Lagos, around that, say, okay, we are running a program around teaching people, young people robotics, and they will be willing, because they're looking for people to join too, and their interest is coming up. So you might not get exactly the details inside the classroom. It's the same for, so for example, I read computer science. It's the same in school. When I was in school, you wouldn't get the level of detail you get outside school in terms of programming, writing, but you learn the very fundamentals there. But going into the in-depth practicals, which I believe that's where you're coming from, you will usually get it outside. And there are materials online. If you go on YouTube, you will see videos, you see things, you will kind of help give you directions around that. Is that fine? Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for that interesting presentation. Mine is a bit of relating social media with education. Just an observation. I would really like, when we are presenting how our youth should make money with social media and all that, we should have at the back of our mind that they are still in school. They should, like the time you said, they should put their time. Time is very paramount, because you see most of them doing this business in class when they are supposed to be listening to lectures. And if you are somebody like me who sets rules at the beginning of the class, I'll take their phone and I will tell them that they will go and collect it from Ogudipe when they are leaving school. So they think you are too harsh on them. But we need to be telling them that they have to be able to separate when they are in class and when they want to make money using the social media. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Ma. That's an important point, and we can't really stress this enough. There's time for everything, as the Bible would say. So when you're in class, you should focus on, I would say you should focus on what you're learning, because you might not see the value there and then, but it's actually very valuable by the time you get out of that classroom. So, and try to have a balance for social media. The thing about it is that social media is a topic we can deal with, spend the whole day talking through. And there are some experts around us that can even give us some more insights. But while you're trying to do your marketing, do your interactions, your chatting with your friends and the rest, you need to find an appropriate time to do it. And I agree with what she has said 100%. I hope we've taken note of that. I'm not hearing any answer. Okay, please.
Please, do we have further questions? Any?
Right, thank you, sir. So I have a question concerning this freelancing stuff. Are you listening, sir?
Yes, sir.
So I want to ask, how effective is it? Freelancing, you know about that, I don't know how to explain it. So how effective is freelancing? Like, if we are talking about we students now, so how can you tell us how effective it is and how we can benefit from it? Sir?
Finance?
Freelancing. Yes, sir.
Okay, great. You can, because you have access to the internet, and there are people that practically live by freelancing. they live by faith. But what you need to do is you need to find something that you can do that someone can pay. A problem, as I said, you are solving a problem, or you are doing something you are very good at. So there are people that do freelancing and all sorts of things. There are people that look for people to write stories for them, write programs for them, design graphics, do graphics design. There are so many things. Those into architecture can be plans. There are so many things. So within what you can do, what you typically will be able to do with someone maybe in school, you can actually do it for someone online if you are very effective. So there are you have forums. We like call it forums. You have platforms where freelancers go and offer their services. If I'm looking for someone to help me do a design, I can go to Behance. There are so many platforms. Say, okay, I need someone to help me design, and we agree a fee, and the person does it and sends it to me. We don't need physical limits, but it's effective. You just need to plan how you approach it. Look for where you are good at. Build yourself in that area, obviously. Be as skillful as possible in that area. Definitely, you'll get people that will then go to those platforms, put some of your sample work, depending on what you are doing, and you can. So look for a platform, look for what you're good in, and obviously plan your time so that it doesn't clash with what you're doing in school. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Do we have further questions? I believe we should have questions, but if we don't, please let's give a round of applause for Mr. Wayne. Thank you very much. Okay, because I for one, I have interest in IT. If you don't know, whatever course you're going to take, whatever information you're going to do in school, you would always have to fall back into IT. Always. If you're going to teach, you always have to learn how to use softwares to teach, to present. If you're going to do business, you also have to learn how to do digital marketing. You must always have to get knowledge on IT. Even customer service, if you want to be making phone calls, you will also have to get data. You will also have to be able to use some softwares to get data to work with IT. So it's very important. So I'll just pick two things I learned. We should have focus. We should never lose focus. No matter what you want to learn, always be focused at what you want to learn. Be determined and put your time accordingly. Make sure you balance your time. Don't let your education fall into when you're meant to learn something new. Dedicate your time, have a balance to everything. And when you want to learn something, put your all in it. Put your all in it, and you surely achieve it. I know someone that learned a course before entering university. He was being looked for by companies abroad. He had to drop out. I'm not saying you should drop out, please. He couldn't finish. He had to go through an online undergraduate course because he did not have time to actually, he had learned even in his secondary school days. And he was now a top-notch, required by schools, by companies abroad. So you can develop yourself. That's what I'm pushing at. You can be focused to develop yourself, and you see yourself go places beyond Nigeria. So we'll go into the next session. All right, so we'll go into our break, just a little break. We need to digest what we have learned today. If you need to ask further questions, please go ahead to do so. Just digest what you've learned. The importance of IT, the importance of knowing what you want before you get into school. So you won't just be moved by the wind because you didn't meet target or you did not meet your cutoff mark. So try to assimilate everything. If you've taken notes, go through what you've learned for these first two sessions, and we'll come back by 12 noon. Thank you.